Fierce, sassy, vavavoom, finger-snapping, neck-winding, bootylicious realness, jam-packed with attitude. Strong, independent black woman. That's me, right? Am I doing it right?
All the women independent, throw your hands up at me. All the hunters making money.
I'm asking because I often feel like I must be doing it wrong. I must be. Because it seems so easy for those stoical, wisecracking black women I see on the TV screen. This is what's expected of me.
Welcome to the Lion Live channel. Exactly who is expecting this type of behavior from her? It's not us men, and therefore it must be her female friends and family.
What happens if you don't fit them all? What happens if you're made to feel that by just being yourself, you're doing it wrong? What effect can this have on your mental well-being? Depression was something that happened to other people, not me. Ain't nobody got time for that. Too busy being strong and independent, working twice as hard as everyone else, and trying to make good use of the opportunities that now presented themselves to me because of the grit and determination of the strong black women who had paved the way before me. So I was shocked when depression came for me in 2008. What was most shocking was the realization that it had been there for a very long time, waiting in the shadows. I felt like I'd failed, until I did some research and discovered that this is more common than I've been led to believe.
That is because an independent, I don't need a man or anyone, is a myth that will only leave you lonely and depressed as time goes on. Human beings, we need to interact on a personal level with other humans. When we don't have meaningful relationship and we are by ourselves, alone, our mental well-being gets affected.
Stats from gov.uk show that 4 times as many black people were sectioned under the Mental Health Act in 2017 to 18 than white people. 4 times as many. According to the NHS, black British women are more prone than white women to experience common mental disorders such as anxiety, depression, panic, and obsessive-compulsive disorders.
This also happens in these United States.
And a recent University of Cambridge study revealed that black women aged between 16 and 34 are more prone to self-harm than white women. Something isn't adding up here. The data's saying one thing, but social media, memes, and the entertainment industry in general are still pushing the strong, independent stereotype.
What she needs to ask herself is, why do these entities push this nonsense? These are money-making platforms, and you should always follow the money. This strong, independent, stereotype woman loves the attention she gets on these social media sites. These women, they spend lots of money in this economy on products that give them temporary fulfillment to ease the anxiety of being alone. But this fix cannot last very long and is in no way comparable to having someone special in your life that you can depend on. Dependency to these women is a no-no.
After I was diagnosed with depression, I suddenly became aware that I didn't see the world in the same way that everyone else did. That the way that I constantly criticized myself, pushed myself to excel, and was cautious about celebrating achievements wasn't the norm. Actually, that's not quite right. It wasn't the norm for my white friends, but it was normal for the women in my family. They struggled to be what was expected of them. But instead of rejecting the stereotype, they perpetuated it. A survival mechanism which allowed them to integrate and build communities in a hostile and unwelcoming environment. But at what cost? I would see glimpses of their pain and anger in private, but they would quickly hide it away. From an early age, I was taught that you should never let anyone see your pain, because they would use it against you. There was a sense that life was a battle. To win, you had to work twice as hard as everyone else for half as much reward, and keep smiling and laughing, but not too much. If you were too happy, then someone would take it away from you. That's a lot, right? Where does that mindset come from? And how does a black woman navigate her way through it all? Luckily, there are mental health organisations out there that are specifically designed to support the Black British community. I spoke to Jackie Dyer and Natalie Creary from Black Thrive to discuss their work. So where do you think the stereotype of the strong, independent black woman comes from?
I think it comes all the way back from slavery, to be quite frank. These are some of the stories that went round in order to help to enslave our black population.
You know what? Slavery may have played a role, but it must be noted that black family was way more unified back then than they are today. Men and women were married in larger numbers than they are today. And I guarantee you that those women did not consider themselves independent and don't need their men. So what changed? You know, some people say it's because of feminism and the welfare state. Those two resulted in women kicking men out of the door for a government check, and therefore had to bear the greater burden of having to rear the children and go to work all by themselves.
The black woman is expected to carry the weight of the world on their shoulder and to provide the support and the care for others, when actually black women also need to be cared for, they need to be nurtured.
Where else can black British women receive help and support?
Take some steps and communicate what is going on inside you that you actually don't need to be bearing on your own.
To be a strong black woman is also to be a vulnerable black woman.
I'd say find somebody who you can trust, who you can talk with.
It's going to see your GP, reaching out to your social networks. You need to kind of be able to let our guard down and to say, actually, I'm feeling vulnerable and, I need help.
The strong, independent black woman trope was a much needed survival mechanism. But for second and third generation black women, it's a mechanism that has served its purpose and has the potential to become a self-destructive identity that can actually do more harm than good. I'm so grateful for the sacrifices made by my elders and the hardships they had to endure. Their strength will always lie within me, which means I can allow myself to be more than just strong. Out of respect for them, I'm learning to show the sides of myself that they had to keep hidden away. It's okay not to be okay. It takes courage to speak honestly about how you're feeling. I can be strong and accept my weaknesses. Independent and vulnerable. Move away from the stereotype and embrace my true self.
There's nothing wrong with being independent. At some point in our lives, men and women are independent. We have to take care of ourselves. That's just being human. But the human desire to interact with others, to be dependent on others, is not a fault, but a necessary trait built into our DNA. Don't run from it. Interacting with others can cause you pain. Yes, they can break your heart in many ways, but your pain can be cured by your continued interaction with others as well. So don't get stuck on the fact that someone breaks your heart. Okay? You have to learn to move on and start all over again. Hold tight. Again and again.